Welcome to the Direct Line, brought to you by 10Bet, the Durban July, which runs on Saturday, the 5th of July, down in Durban at Greyville Racecourse, over 2,200 meters. It's the country's biggest racing event, and we're looking forward to chatting about it today on the show. The Direct Line, if you don't know, is a tipping service. I'm Nico Kritsiotis, part of the Direct Line, and we offer tips on all South African horse racing. We're proud to be partnering together with 10Bet to bring you this show. Earlier on today, I chatted to a very special guest, none other than Neil Andrews, a well-respected sportscaster in South Africa, who has a history in tipping winners in horse racing. Let's have a look and see what his thoughts were on the big race coming up this coming Saturday. Welcome back, and you join us now with Neil Andrews, who is very, very popular in the sporting world. He is a top broadcaster. He's a mate of mine, so I thought let's bring him in because you know more about the Durban July more than anyone else. I think you followed a lot longer than I have.
Steady on, eh? Let's not talk about age. But Nico, thanks. I hope you noticed that I'm wearing direct
I do
line
know
colours
that, but I also
today.
note that maybe you're doing a pre-rehearsal for the big broadcast, because you're anchoring that broadcast on the Durban July day itself, aren't you?
Thanks, Nico. Yeah, I'm lost count at how many broadcasts we've done. It's a very special one this year, actually, because we're on air for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
When we first started planning, I think it was 4 hours, then it became 5 hours. The way things are going, I'll turn another year older the way we're going to go. But and what's special about it is that we're broadcasting as a unified broadcast to both Supersport and to SABC.
Right.
So, I'm proud to be anchoring it for my traditional Supersport audience, but also the SABC audience. And it is the race, Australia, well, has got the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah.
But if we have a race that stops the nation, then it is definitely the Hollywoodbets Durban July.
Yeah, people that want to have a bet on horse racing are automatically attracted to this race, which from a purist point of view, Neil, is probably the worst race to get really involved in, because it's a handicap.
Correct.
And in essence, all the horses have a chance of winning the race, all 18 that have been finalised.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Essentially, for first timers maybe having a bet, you must remember Nico's point is valid in so much as the best horse doesn't always win the race. And the reason for that is it's been given too much weight, and he has to carry that against opposition that are weighted to beat him or her.
Yeah.
So, but it is an unbelievable betting race, as you well know, and everybody's got their own opinion. And, back in the day, I don't know if it still happens, maybe not as much as it used to, but in offices all over South Africa, there'd be an office sweepstake, and everybody would put their 100 Rand in or 200 Rand in, or back in the day, 5 Rand, because that was a lot of money a few years ago. And then you would draw a horse. It'd be a random horse that you draw, and you'd watch the race. So it is certainly our equivalent of the Melbourne Cup or the English Derby, or the American Triple Crown.
I want to get your thoughts on this year's event, because the most important thing about this year's event is that until the final field was declared on Tuesday last week, people did not really know whether the top horse 8 on 18 was going to run, and they kept it very, very close to their chest. The trainer, the owners, everyone involved with 8 on 18. Now, he's a horse that won the Met, the big race down in Cape Town, and he's done extremely well since going to KwaZulu-Natal during the season, and he is now posted up as favourite by all the bookmakers. Just your thinking about his chances in the race, bearing in mind, Neil, that I'm going to throw it out to you there. From a pure handicapping point of view, he is handicapped to win, because on the rating that he's been given, on his merit rating, he should be carrying 59 kilograms. And the rules say that a 3-year-old's maximum weight has to be 57. So technically speaking, he comes in 2 kilograms under what he should be carrying. But I know that you don't necessarily trust those ratings that are given to horses.
It works two ways for me. I'm tempted to think that he might be rated as highly, but what happens is if you run in and or around him, then you're punished accordingly.
Yeah.
But there are some horses that haven't run against him and have, in better terminology, they've dodged him. And as a result, they may be better than their rating. So he is definitely rated I think, at his maximum. Whether it's accurate or not, we'll see. But for me, he's going to have to be the next Nijinsky or Horse Chestnut to carry that kind of weight. But as you know, I mean, one of the bonuses both you and I have of being in this industry and being in broadcasting is we get to meet the people.
Absolutely.
So you're right. The horse is owned by Nick Johnson and Johan Rupert. And last year, when Nick had a number of runners...
Will he be at the races, Johan Rupert? Because
I don't know.
I'm sure. I mean, he managed to find some time to go and see President Trump. Yeah. But will he find time to go to the...
Well, one thing's sure Gaynor will be there representing him because she's got other runners on the race. I would imagine that Johan will make an effort to go there. You know, I'm sure Johan won't mind me saying this, he was probably... It was really Gaynor that drove the initial interest in thoroughbred horse racing. But since he had Charles Dickens, he's got very invested and loves it. So if his calendar allows and his diary allows, he'll be there. But what I was saying, last year, I had the opportunity of flying down for our broadcast to interview Nick Johnson prior. And he did say to me, he said, Neil, if you ever got any queries about my horse, please feel free to phone me directly. You don't have to phone the trainer. So on Friday, a couple of Fridays ago, I phoned him and I said, Nick, are you going to run? And at the time he said, well, thanks for calling, Neil. We haven't decided. We're still debating it. And that tells me that it wasn't an easy decision. I think they know that 57's a tall order. Historically, the last 3-year-old to win with 57 actually didn't win the race. He dead heated with Sea Cottage in 1967. You weren't born in 1967.
No, not at last count.
No. Some of us were. Yeah. But and then since then the closest in weight terms is Legislate won, and again he actually didn't win the race either. He won on an objection. And correct. He carried 56. Yeah. So you've got to go way back to even before Jollify. So that's why I say he's going to have to be Horse Chestnut or Nijinsky to win it. So I think it was a tough decision for them. Their main aim, Nick told me, was initially the Daily News. He's won that. Yeah. And then the Champions Cup, which is a grade one at the end of the season.
Champions Cup runs on the last Sunday in July. Well, if he wins the Durban July and wins the Champions Cup, there's no doubt of who the Horse of the Year will be. I mean, it's a fait accompli.
I suspect if he wins the other one, he'll still be Horse of the Year
Absolutely.
Anyway. But for me, it's a betting race. We've established that. Yes. He's the best horse in the race, but will he win?
Will he win? So I made a comment quite a long way back. And bear in mind that I didn't back him to win the Met. I actually backed See It Again, who ran a close-up fourth that day. I just think that he's the right horse in the race. Now, his draw, because the draws correlate with the saddlecloth number. So 11, the draw was done on Tuesday last week, and that would be okay for him.
Yeah, no problem with that.
There's no issue with the draw.
In fact, some people will think, I heard it there, so the horse that drew one, who drew one? Can't remember. But there was a round of applause.
No, Oriental Charm.
I don't think you want to be drawn one. The problem is that, again, I'm getting a little bit technical now, but the track, the Greyville track has narrowed over the years, and the reason for that is they've put in a poly track on the inside, so you don't get the width of track. Already Greyville, it was a tough circuit to win. It's 18 horses coming around that turn, and space is a premium. The problem with being drawn one is that horses who are drawn poorly want to come in front of you, and you end up in the race getting further and further back and then having to make it up in, as you know, which is a short straight. So for me, coming back to your point, that's not a negative for me at all, the draw. I think Richard Faree drawn 11 is perfect.
You touched on Oriental Charm. So people were shouting and screaming. He's a strong front runner, so there's no doubt that he want to get to the front. But the problem is draw one isn't necessarily a good draw to get to the front. Horses can quickly shut you out.
Yeah, because everybody wants to come over.
At the start. But the thing about him, he's last year's winner, Oriental Charm, but last year he carried 53 kilos. He's up to 60 now.
Yeah.
He's carrying 7 kilograms
He was a bit
more.
of a handicap snip last year, Nico. As you know, I liked him and he won because he had that weight coming back to the point he had no weight and he was receiving a lot of weight. So it didn't surprise me that he won last year. This is a different kettle of fish. But of course he has matured, and he's got a big plus in his armour, and that's the James Crawford. Now James Brett, his dad's gone to Hong Kong to train.
Yeah.
But those guys have worked, you know this, they've worked out the key. Yeah. And that is, for people that don't know, they're based in Johannesburg.
That's right.
And they raid from Johannesburg. And that has proven hugely effective for them.
Absolutely. And that is a key to the whole day, in essence, because...
Yes. Well, we don't want to give all our winners away, Nico.
but,
Steady on. It's a nice podcast. I'm helping the direct line, but don't tip them too many winners.
But the theory there is that you obviously train at altitude and then you go down at the last minute and run. It's similar to marathon
like you
runners.
used to do when you ran in the Comrades all those
when
years.
When I lived in Kenya with all the marathon runners, I used to do that. But apart from that, Neil, let's focus in on the likely horses that are there to give 8 on 18 headaches. Now, I want to group them together. So I want to say, right, will the horse that gives him the most to do be his contemporary in terms of age, or will he be an older horse? So let's talk about the other 3-year-olds in the race. The Mike de Kock horse, Mike and Matthew de Kock horse, the de Kock racing horse, Immediate Edge, is a horse that seemingly has come in under the radar and won a very good race in the Jubilee Handicap in his prep run at Turffontein. And he has been touted as a big possibility with Callan Murray on.
It's got to be a run on a line through 8 on 18 simply because he is receiving 4 kilograms, which in horse racing terms means that the handicap, or the way the weights are set, is that they're saying that 8 on 18 has to be 8 lengths better than Immediate Edge. I don't think he is. I think he might be 5 lengths better. But so as a result, I mean, I'm going out on a limb. You asked me to go on a limb, I'll go on a limb. I think that Immediate Edge, wherever they finish, will finish in front of 8 on 18.
Yeah.
But whether they're both competitive is another story. He's improved since gelding. Callum Murray is a huge bonus. He's riding with confidence. And we know the genius of Matthew de Kock and Mike de Kock and Matthew de Kock. So you've got to be a big runner. He's drawn 10 again, good draw. He wasn't initially on my radar, but I'd be stupid not to give him a chance because of the improvement since gelding. Big runner.
Just talking about that again, and I'm going to go to the 3-year-old Confederate because there's another horse here. He carries 53.5. He's a Group 1 winner. He won the South African Classic, and he's drawn a bit wider out at 14. Would you give him any hope on the fact that he won the SA Classic? No.
No, I don't like him. I think he pulls like a dentist.
Yeah.
And the last time I went to the dentist, it wasn't a good experience. I think that draws bad for him, because he's going to go handy. Yeah. Well, the horse won't give the jockey any chance. He's going to go handy. Warren Kennedy's come to ride it, hasn't he?
Yes, absolutely.
From New Zealand.
Yeah.
No, I don't put him on my radar.
Okay.
Yeah, I might put him in the trifectas, but as a win bet, no.
So the draws are interesting because Immediate Edge is drawn one inside of the master tactician that Richard Fourie is. He'll have every single chance of watching what Callan Murray does. And interestingly, 4 kilograms does mean quite a bit over 2,200 meters. We know that. But the fact that they're drawn together, does that not sway you towards 8 on 18 again?
No.
No, not at all.
No, because the reality is I can't see in my mind's eye, and I ask people watching this podcast, Nico, direct line fans, in your mind's eye, if you took the 2 horses and you raced them together at Greyville over 2,000 of level weights.
Yes.
How far would 8 on 18 win? Now, we all agree 8 on 18 is probably a better horse.
Would win,
Would he beat him by 8 lengths?
Yeah.
I can't see that. I can't.
Right. Let's talk about the older horses, Neil,
Yes.
and the principle of which, because the traditional profile of a Durban July winner would be an older horse
well
carrying a good enough weight to win the race. And you found lots of winners. I go back that time that you actually jumped on top of me. on
Steady on, it's a family show.
Yeah, correct. When a horse called Power King won.
Correct, yes.
And you made a lot of money because it was a big prize, but it's in that mold. It's an older horse carrying a lower weight.
I either do well in the July when a horse like that with that profile wins, and there's been a few of them. Not the Confederate. What was the horse Pierce Drayden won from a 20 draw? Ramsden's
The Conglomerate.
Horse. The Conglomerate was another one. I leapt all over the place with that one. So yes, and horses like Hunting Tower and Dunford, who our friend Robert Bloomberg. I was actually on course that day. I'm going off a little bit, but that to me, people ask me what was the greatest day ever for me, and that was when Dunford won the July, because I didn't have a share in the horse. I had punted a little bit, but I was next to Robert. And at the top of the straight, I dropped my binoculars and I said to him, Robert, you're going to win the Durban July. And he said, what? I said, you're going to win the Durban July.
Yes.
I said, you're cruising.
Yes.
And it won. And I screamed. We all screamed at home, leapt around like crazy things. So although I wasn't involved with the ownership, it was just great. But that profile horse is when I win. If 8 on 18 wins the Durban July on Saturday, you're going to know I've done my proverbials because I'm not on it.
Yeah.
So you're either right. That's the thing about horse racing and sports betting in general. You know, if you're going to have a bet on the Springboks, or you're going to bet on their opposition, or you're betting on Chelsea, you're a Chelsea fan,
yes.
or you're going to bet like us on Spurs, guaranteed to lose.
You got a new manager now.
You back your opinion. You're either right or you're wrong. So coming back, so it's a long-winded answer. Yeah. So the question, but it's a good question you asked. So for me, this July fits the profile of a Dunford, a Hunting Tower.
Yes, because it's
a
that
Power
open.
King.
Yeah,
because it's that open, and I think the favourite has got too much weight.
Yeah, yeah. So then, which is there a short list for you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't mind being open. My anti-post betting, which I've gone for 2 horses. The first of which is the Real Prince.
Yeah.
And let me explain that in very brief terms. So we've discussed 8 on 18 is a 3-year-old carrying 57. Real Prince is a 4-year-old. He's a year older, and he's receiving half a kilogram.
Correct, 56.5.
So to me, that says that's a little bit like, I'll tell you what it's a bit like. So you got kids at home. Nico's got 2 boys.
I've got about 5 less than you.
Yeah, that's true. But Michael and Josh, the age gap between them is 2.
2.5.
2.5. So right now, where they are in their development, if they're going to race, you're probably going to be with Michael because he's just got that age advantage, particularly if they're level.
Yeah.
But if you put a deck chair on Michael's back or a lounge suite, the youngster's going to beat him because of the weight. So this is a situation
and
where...
we'll have a hefty hospital bill as well.
Probably.
Yeah.
So for me, the older horse should be giving weight to the younger horse. He's not. He's receiving half a kilogram. There's other reasons. Real Prince on a line through See It Again and Gladiatorian is very well handicapped in the Drill Hall Stakes. He's trained by a genius. I mean, the Cannemare family, Peter Cannemare has trained winners of the Durban July. Dean has stepped it up. He's just a genius. He trained Dynasty, trained Power King. He's trained a couple of more. Has started favourite for the race. And he's got the champion jockey on board him. Craig Zaki. So there are so many positives. I backed him at a very big price early on, and I haven't stopped.
But he's not done the distance before.
No, he doesn't.
So
Hasn't done the distance
because his pedigree suggests that
well, his mother, I think you must have called his mother. It's the Real Princess.
Yeah, Real Princess.
Real Princess.
She was a very good sprinter.
Yeah. But his running style, Nico, if they can switch him off, he's got an exceptional turn of foot.
Yeah.
That is a negative. You know,
who's the other one? Who's the other old?
The other one is a completely different profile horse. He's I think he's a year older. Salukwe, is he 5?
Salukwe.
Now
we're talking.
Salukwe is 5. Now he's
talking.
carrying 54, isn't he? Let me just check in.
He is carrying
54. Blimey, he is slung in.
I think at last call he was 16 to 1.
Yeah, he wasn't when I started backing him.
Really?
No, he was 28 to 1.
Oh, 28 to 1. Yeah. So you're on the same horse as me in terms of the older horse. So my younger horse is obviously 8 on 18. I've put my proverbial on the block, and I've said that. But from an older horse, I believe Salukwe fits the profile.
Well, from your lips, a very good win,
Neil, in the Greyville 1900, which is one of the key pointer races to the July. And I like the way he won, and I think it may well be Sereno Mudley's time. He's an Asian rider. He's based down in Durban. He's a Joburg boy, actually. He was born up in Joburg, but he's come of age, has Sereno.
Nico, so many boxes ticked there, and you're right about that victory because he was actually came in. You know, on that day, he couldn't win. He was badly handicapped, and I didn't like him on the day. But the way he's won, and he came off a very low base. So even though he got a penalty for winning that race, he still looks to me very well in. But you're right about Sereno Mudley. He is riding at the top of his game. There's confidence there. And the yard, the Andre Nel yard has been banging form, both in Cape Town and in Durban.
Final question, in terms of the whole race and how it fits in, is the draw. We've seen horses win from any draw.
Yeah.
Pierre Stratham's won it several times from draw 20. London News, the great London News, won it from a 20 draw. There are only 18 horses allowed in the race with 2 reserve runners. They will come into the race should there be late scratchings. But how significant in your play and when you're punting on this race is the draw for the July? Does it play any part in your final take on it?
I think, we carry bias with us. So I probably still put too much emphasis on the draw because the statistics of the race suggest, and you're right, the Conglomerate was drawn 20. I think Pomodoro was drawn 20.
Pomodoro was drawn 20.
A whole bunch of them have been drawn 20. So that tells you it's happened too often for it to be a negative. I'm now swayed the other way around. I actually think a low draw is bad because of what we said. If you don't get a good start, people cut you off. You end up going backwards.
Yeah.
So 10-11's perfect for your 2 3-year-olds. My two, I'll be honest. So I think the Real Prince is 5 and Seleuque 6.
But Seleuque 6.
I would have probably preferred if they were 8 and 9 or 9 and 10. 5 and 6 is a little bit too close to 1, 2, and 3. But Real Prince is, and they're both horses that will be dropped out and come from the back. I mean, Real Prince, it's not certain that he stays.
Yeah.
So he's happy to be wherever he was. It really depends. I think if you're in Confederate's point of view, if you're a front runner and you've got to come over from that draw, that's a negative. But
because you've got to be using up petrol to get there.
But I can't remember the ones with the worst draws. But if they're horses that are going to be dropped,
horses like Gladiatorian are outside. Royal Victory's drawn outside.
Yeah. You know, Gladiatorian, it wouldn't surprise me if he won. I don't know if he'll stay. I'm hoping that my horse...
with a draw, it's going to be a tough ask. I think if it's drawn better, it may be okay. For me, he's not in my top 3 or 4.
Well, the other thing is, the last comment, Nico, so I've dragged on a little bit, but they say in the UK, pace wins race.
Yeah.
So we don't know. We don't know how quick the pace is going to be. If they dawdle and it turns into a sprint at home, for home, then you could get any kind of result. I mean, you'll remember a couple of years ago when there was a Snaith horse that went off at a suicidal pace. Yeah. And Aldo was riding the horse that chased him. And they both absolutely stopped in their tracks with 300 to go. And I think it was Belgarian's year.
Yes.
And Belgarian came from the clouds to win.
Was it African Night Sky that was...
Might have also been. That was another year. So they generally go a good clip. I think to answer your question, I think the draw... you can win from anywhere.
Yeah. Well, Neil, thanks for being on the direct line again. It's a great pleasure to host you. I know we're both going to be there on the big day and we'll be doing different things on the day. But at the end of the day, if I said to you as a final thing, you're in immediate edges camp, but if you're looking for an outsider, it's either the Real Prince or Seleuque. Is that it?
No, I'm not in immediate edge camp particularly. No. Okay. I think it'll run a place.
Yeah.
No, I think one of my 2 horses will win, but
I
would do, wouldn't I? I mean, I haven't backed them for anything. But listen, I must say, if they both ran places, I'll be okay. You know how I play.
Yes.
I don't. It's not. I'm looking for places. So with the Power King one, I won just as much money on the places as I did the wins. So for me, I'm sticking with the Real Prince as my first choice. Seleuque, my second choice. Immediate Edge, my third. People are going to say, what does he know? He's leaving the favourite out. The favourite will be there or thereabouts. But there's no value.
We've had a coffee on that 3-year-old.
Can I just say one last thing for punters? Yeah. The game of betting, the game and the enjoyment of betting is value.
Yes.
Anybody can tell you that Manchester City are going to win the FA Cup final. As it turned out, they didn't. Yeah. Anybody can tell you that Scotty Scheffler is going to win the Masters. The key, where you get a trick, is when you find the Russell Henleys or somebody like that. The favourite is the favourite for a reason, but I'm taking him on.
Okay, you're taking him on, and that is the word from Neil Andrews. Thanks very much to you for coming in, and thanks for being our special guest. And more about what you can do for the big day with 10Bet in a short while. We're going to be telling you all about that now. While you've heard what we've said on the podcast, you've heard it all from Neil Andrews, and you know my take on it. I'm a big 8 on 18 fan, but the horse that we have in common is a horse called Seleuque. There's no doubt about those two having big chances. Now, 10Bet have got their betting on this big race, and you can take advantage of their special July offers by going to www.10bet.co.za. From a direct line perspective, anyone that bets on the Durban July will also get the direct line tips sent to you on the morning of Saturday, the 5th of July. And if you want to become a subscriber for the direct line, which we tip on every single South African horse racing meeting, then take advantage and call the numbers or contact us now. That's the direct line brought to you by 10Bet. This has been the Durban July special for 2025.